Garden Creek and the Pigeon River. A site timeline, a place name composite, and Revolutionary War pension notes for the Beaver Dam and Huggy Bear Hill vicinity of Haywood County, North Carolina. Part 1. The Garden Creek site timeline from around 1500 to the 1880s. Garden Creek sits at the confluence of Garden Creek and the Pigeon River, just south of Canton. Two mounds anchor the site. Mound 2 from the Caneste phase, roughly AD 200 to 600, and Mound 1 from the later Pisgah phase, roughly AD 1000 to 1450. Before European contact, through the 1500s, Cherokee occupation of the Upper Pigeon and French Broad drainage continues. By the 1600s, intensive occupation at the mound complex itself winds down. Then in 1715, a smallpox epidemic devastates Cherokee towns across the wider region. War and the Treaty Line. From 1756 to 1761, the Anglo-Cherokee War brings the building and fall of Fort Loudoun. In 1776, Rutherford's expedition marches through what becomes Haywood County, soldiers who return afterward to settle the land. In 1783, a new treaty shifts the Cherokee boundary from the Blue Ridge west to the Pigeon River, opening the Garden Creek Terrace itself to settlement for the first time. And in 1785, the Treaty of Hopewell adds further terms for the settlers already on the ground. Settlement and excavation. In 1796, David Allison's grant of over 250,000 acres covers much of the future county, including the Pigeon River bottomlands. Haywood County is formed from Buncombe County in 1808 and 1809. The 1830s bring the Cherokee removal era, and in 1880, the first documented excavation at Garden Creek is carried out by the Valentine Museum of Richmond, Virginia, the earliest and least documented of the site's three major dig campaigns. Part 2. A place name composite for the Huggy Bear Hill vicinity. Huggy Bear Hill Road itself is a modern subdivision name, platted around 1999. No historic pedigree was found for the name, but it sits within Beaver Dam Township, in the Beaver Dam Creek Valley that drains toward the Pigeon River, and that valley carries a much older layer of place names. Documented names in the Beaver Dam Valley. From the early 1800s, George Swain built a log cabin on the Beaver Dam Run property around the turn of the century. His nephew, future Governor David Lowry Swain, grew up there. Joseph Lane and his family were resident until 1804. William Bassett sold 50 acres to the Stradley family in 1841. The first Baptist settlers in the valley. The Gudger and Young families arrived later, and the Locust Oldfield Baptist Church served the community from the early 1800s. Part 3. Pension records for Pigeon River land south of Canton. The search you linked for the surname Houston returns 281 hits, but these are incidental mentions of officers named Houston scattered across the whole Southern Theater, none of them tied to Haywood County land. Searching directly for the phrase Pigeon River instead surfaces the record that actually matters. The key record is Pension File W4109, filed by Elizabeth Abel, widow of Thomas Abel, in Haywood County Court in June 1839. She stated she married Thomas Abel around 1782 on the Pigeon River, and that they lived in Haywood County for the last 7 or 8 years of his life, until his death on August 30th, 1822. Thomas Abel had served as a substitute soldier out of Shenandoah County, Virginia, in 1781 and was present at the Siege of Yorktown. Her claim was corroborated by a neighbor, Daniel Henson, described as resident on the Pigeon River in Haywood County, in his own pension file, W3991. So, the Abel and Henson pension files place an early Pigeon River household in exactly the right decades and exactly the right stretch of river, though not tied to one specifically identified tract. The natural next steps would be pulling Daniel Henson's own pension file and running the Beaver Dam Valley surnames, Swain, Lane, Stradley, and Bassett, against the same pension database. The full written composite is available as a companion document.